Never be envious of people because you never know what they're going through behind closed doors. I literally felt like I was watching my husband die on his feet, and there was nothing that I could do. It was a sense of helplessness.
I really believe in my heart that God says, I have to show you this. For you to truly, even though you've been a minister for how many years and doing this, and I'm not ashamed of that, I had to show you this to truly show you who I really am in your life.
Welcome to Kingdom Huddle. I haven't done a Kingdom Huddle sit down in a minute, but I feel like this conversation has to be had. This individual, many of y'all may recognize him, some may not, but this is my husband, Clay Parker. And listen, y'all, this man has a testimony to share with us, and I hope you stay tuned. Share with other people, but I guarantee you that you don't want to miss this conversation. Stay tuned. My name is Wilma Parker, and welcome to Kingdom Huddle. Like I said, this is my husband, Clay Parker. We will be married in September. How many years?
You don't know?
I'm putting you on the spot. How many
18 years?
18 years. 18 years. But he and I both felt the need to sit down and give people some insight of what's been going on with us in the past few months. I know some people have been wondering, well, you're not shooting videos. Well, life was happening. A lot was happening, and part of a lot that was happening was pertaining to my husband and his his health and what God was doing in him and through him and in our relationship, our family. You know, a lot has happened since December. So I want to take a moment and just kind of walk people through the process of what was happening. So you can share as much as you want, and certain things are going to be private. That's his choosing, our choosing, but we just want to give you some insight on, really, this story is talking about the goodness of God. Yeah. God is so good. And so, Clay, I'm going to let you just go ahead and take over and just kind of tell people what happened in December, what your expectation was, and what actually ended up happening in the process.
Okay. Well, it's been a journey. It's been quite 3 months. Like in December, I was having stomach issues, and although I had some issues before that, a lot of stomach issues going on. Of course, you go check out at your doctor, and then the doctor gives you a report that they see something in your stomach. One of the first things, I'll just be honest with you, all you think is how serious is it, or is it the big C word, or all this stuff? But thank God it wasn't, and they were sure of that. And then, of course, to go along with that, you realize that you had some other stuff going on with it that was causing problems with your stomach. When we went through it, I agreed to go through with that, and I'll be honest with you, I had a lot of doubt. And I presented to my wife, and I presented to her. She's like, "Are you sure about this?" I'm like, "I don't know. I feel like this." There were times I went back and forth, and to be honest with you, my emotions and stuff started going all over the place. I didn't reach out to no one. I didn't share it with no one. I shared it with a few people and stuff. One thing I was learning to do was trying to hold that worry and not let people know. I didn't let the church folk know. I didn't let certain people in my family know. I just kind of held it all together. But as we got closer, of course, people were going to see something, so I did let people in on certain things.
Right. And in life, generally, we can have our expectations of what we think things are supposed to be. God was working inside of him, transforming him from the inside out. But I want to go ahead and go after he had the surgery. So our expectation was like, me personally, I was just like, I'm the type of person, I don't even take medicine if I have a headache. So to have surgery, I'm kind of like, do we have to go that route? Is it really necessary? But the doctor said it was necessary, so I said, okay, let's do it. And
so can I go before that?
Right.
So let's go before that. Before I started having the surgery, I made the decision to have the surgery, and whether you believe this or not, and I'll share it with you, I started having dreams.
Right.
And that's the part that really made me afraid and hesitant and doubt what we're doing, because I was having dreams about it. I won't go too far into it, but I was having dreams that when I was on the operating table, I was going to lose my life. That the enemy was going to take my life. He was going to take my life while I was on the operating table. And you were in the room and things were happening and stuff. So, I want to share that part with everybody out there. So before I even got to that point, weeks before it, I even told you about it. I had a dream that I might not make it out of this.
Right. And it was very, very scary. And I kept asking God, because Once again, we wanted to do what God was telling us to do. I kept asking God, is this the route that we should go? It's like all of this came so quickly, and this happened during the holiday season. Christmas time, we had to make a decision. Do we want him to go forward with it after Christmas, before Christmas? So we're doing all these decisions, still running the ministry, still doing all the different programs for the church, the kids' activity. It was a lot going on in our household. But we were trusting God, trusting and believing that God, if this is what you want him to do at this point, then we believe that you're going to get him through this process. Now, the way that it was explained to us is that the recovery process wasn't going to be that challenging. Yes, it was going to be some life adjustment and just minor things. So it's like, okay, well, we'll deal with it. However, can you tell us exactly when you woke up from the recovery?
Well, it's been traumatic. I mean, I'm almost 3 months out, and if you tell the way I'm sitting, I'm still sore, I'm still healing, still recovering on some things, but it was traumatic. It was very traumatizing. And like I said, I'm just going to share it to the world, and it was traumatizing. When I woke up off the table, I woke up in pain, screaming. Like, can somebody please help me? I mean, the doctor stood there, and I don't remember you being in the room, but you said you was in the room. Like, I know what I'm talking about. I'm not losing my mind. I had so much pain in my chest right here, and I was screaming. They were like, we don't understand what's going on. They just pretty much, I felt like they just stood there.
Yeah, because the reason why is because, first of all, you still have anesthesia in you from the surgery. They had a pain pump in your stomach, and they were still giving you oral medicine. So to me, from looking at their point of view was like, we're giving him all this medicine. He should not be in pain.
And I'm screaming in pain, and I know it scared you, and I was in pain for it. 2 days after, like screaming, like ouch, in pain, until they try to figure that out. So like I say, it wasn't no smooth procedure. We wake you up, you're gonna be like this. No, it was horrible. And I mean, for days I suffered like that, and pain in my chest, not understanding what's going on. So weeks of that, I transitioned and stuff. Then I began to tell people what was going on. And I guess everybody thought just like we did, okay, I'm gonna bounce back, and it's gonna be whatever, you go through that or whatever. But then again, I started talking to God, like, what are you trying to really show me? Because I started saying, why am I in so much pain and stuff like this? Nothing was ordinary about it. And going back to that dream, like, that I was reminded of that dream that I wasn't going to make it off that. Then they started talking about your blood pressure's out of whack, and they were concerned about that. And I'm like, I don't really have blood pressure problems like that, So that was strange to them, which that finally went down, and I thank God for that. But going home after that, the weeks after that was horrible. It was over for 2 days after Christmas, and going forward, it was horrible. People, and I share this, people didn't know, honestly, really mentally what I was going through. I am going through that. People, my family didn't know what I was going through, my close family. People just thought that Clay is this guy. I know they saw some changes in my demeanor. I know they saw some changes in my smile. I know they definitely noticed some changes in my body, especially as it progressed. But I remember this though, was it 2 days after, 2 or 3 days after I had surgery, I did a funeral. And I preached a funeral because I said, God told me to keep going in the strength you have. And I did a sermon on that. I preached a funeral. And then I was standing there with, with staples and stitches and actually had the pain pump. I pulled the pain pump out that morning before I went to the funeral, just so I can go to the funeral. And I pulled that pain pump out of my stomach and went and did God's work, which I'm thankful for that because we were able to make it through that. But I remember being up there just so weak that after we did that, I could barely make it back to the car. I know people concerned me because here come New Year's coming up and this and that, and your family's concerned about you, this and that. But really, I don't think I understood the journey that I was about to go through and what I was going through. I kept saying this too shall pass. This too shall pass. It's going to get better. I didn't understand the journey that I was about to walk through. And people don't know, which is why I want to share that.
Yeah, and the thing that, for me as a wife, watching my big, strong husband every day getting weaker and weaker and weaker, just for him to drink something was an issue. It's like, take a sip, it's like, oh, the pain was so bad, he's just crunched over, he's groaning and moaning. And the boys, our children are concerned. We don't even feel comfortable to even eat around him because he can't eat. When I say literally since December until this week, he could not eat anything. And if once in a while he'll eat something, then it's the violent throwing up or just being so nauseated and uncomfortable. I literally felt like I was watching my husband die on his feet, and there was nothing that I could do. It was a sense of helplessness, like I can't figure out what kind of food I should make now. I can't figure out what words to say. When someone is in so much pain, there's nothing you can say or do. You know, so it was a very vulnerable position for us as a family, but yet and still, nothing stopped. He kept going to work. He kept preaching. We kept going to church, doing the different church functions. Kids' ball games, school activities. We still kept moving. And I truly believe that God honored the fact that, yes, we were in pain and we expressed that to God, but also we never stopped doing whatever he purposed us to do each day.
Because one of the first sermons I did in the new year was go in the strength that you have.
Yes, I love that.
That was one of the first sermons. God says, go in the strength that you have.
Right.
You don't need everything, but just go in what you have right now. I'm going to give you enough to go. Not knowing that I'll be living that. You know, I thought it was a sermon. I mean, of course it was from God, but not really realizing that I was actually living that, like go in the strength you have. And I'll tell everybody who's seeing this journey, who's watching this right now, you really just don't know.
No.
When I put on a smile, but I was crying behind that. I put on a smile like, hey, are you okay? And I know some people knew I wasn't okay, but I don't think I really knew how okay I wasn't.
Right.
Until towards the end, and I feel like I started, you know, my kidneys and stuff started not working right, and I'm losing weight, and the throwing up got more violent, and I start wondering, God, am I going to ever get out of this? Then they start talking about we have to do another procedure on you. Now I'm frustrated. Like, God, I didn't realize that we'll have to go through this.
Right.
And things were happening, but my kids, and I started watching my kids worry about me.
Right.
Along with you, but I started watching my kids worry about me. And not only that, a trip to the ER. I drove myself to the emergency room one Saturday morning because I couldn't take the pain no more. And they go in and say they can't do nothing for me. You know, they can't do nothing for me. But that was another God experience in the hospital, which once again, God met me in the room and said, I'm going to take care of you.
Right.
And I was able to go home that day and make it to church the next day.
Right.
So these are things that I really want people to understand. No matter what you're going through, God is there with you.
Yes.
And I'll be honest with you, and I told someone, I'm telling you all, I am not the same man that went into December that came out of December. I am not the same person. When I tell you all, and I tell you all openly, my prayer life has changed. I'm a total different person. I've never in my life have called on God so much before and screamed out to God. Even if you sit in the room like, God, you got to hear me. I really need your help. God, I really need you right now. God, what's happening right now? Can you hear me? Or even, God, if I do this, can you just give me the strength to stand on my legs to give a sermon?
Yeah.
And people thought I was just saying that when I was doing it. I don't know what people thought. Let me say, I don't know what people thought, but I was literally saying, God, I'm about to preach a sermon. Well, I really feel like I'm about to fall on the floor because I haven't eaten in 3 weeks.
Right.
You know, 3 or 4 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks, and I'm dizzy and lightheaded, and I give myself out to after the sermon, I just sit down. People say it's okay. We having church dinners, I can't eat nothing.
Right.
We're having, family dinners, I can't eat anything. And anytime I take my family out, I smell food, I get sick.
Right.
I remember one day, for 4 days, I didn't drink or eat anything. Because my mind had started shutting down on itself and saying, I don't want no food. But, I kept saying, God, you got to show me something in this.
Right.
You have to show me something in this. This is your servant. This is your child. I really need you. And to be honest with you, the cries for God became louder. And I'm speaking for myself. Before they were prayers.
Oh.
And then it became cries out for God.
Yeah.
This is where it changed. That like, God, I'm not even praying no more. I'm not going down, Lord, if you could just carry me through this. I'm not going down on my knees saying, God, if you just take this pain away today. No. It became scream out, Lord, I need you.
Yes.
God, I cannot do this without you. God, you got to show me this. And whenever I found out that, God would give me like a little bit more energy, a little bit more gas to make it through that day. And if you all know this, since December, I'm 70, almost 75, 77 pounds lost.
Right.
And, I haven't recovered yet because that's a lot of weight to lose in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
But I think, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I'm going to be real. I think I've lost more weight than that. Let me tell you the weight I lost. I lost the weight of doubt. I've lost the weight of questioning God.
Yes.
I lost the weight of not trusting God. So really, you see the physical part, but spiritually, I've lost 100 times more weight than I lost physically because you can't tell me about my God. Our lights haven't been off yet. We haven't missed food. We've gone to basketball tournaments, so I shouldn't even be out there sitting down. That I would sit there for my kids and my family, struggling at the game. Struggling, just sick at the game, just sick, pitiful. And there's times, I'll be honest with you, I wanted to leave and go home. There was times I'm sitting like, God, why am I here? And then the times, I'll be honest with you, there's times I even question, is there something they're missing? Am I going to die out of this because they can't figure it out, get it figured out?
Right.
You know? And those became, I'm going to use this term like that, they became violent cries.
Yeah.
Like, God, I wouldn't have said to you, but like, God, what is happening? Have I done something to this?
Right.
Have I done something wrong? And people, I know people became worried about me.
Yeah, real concerned.
Really concerned about me. People started giving you funny looks. People start looking at you like, you sure? I didn't even know I didn't have an answer because I'm wondering what's going on. I didn't want people to worry because that would just add more to it. But this is where I cried out to God.
Yeah, it was a lot going on in our lives. And one thing, if you all don't know this man, Clay Parker, this is a fighter. He's always been a fighter, not only in the streets where he can throw those hands. Don't get it twisted. Yes, he's a pastor, but he know how to throw those hands. And just being an active person. But there's two words that I'll describe Clay as: builder and fighter. He's a builder and a fighter. A builder, all his life, he builds people. He encourages people. He builds companies. He's been part of a lot of consulting positions where he'll help people, train their employees and just doing a lot of building. And then fighter. He's always been a fighter. He's a middle child, so being that middle child syndrome, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Just feisty and just not gonna let anybody take advantage of him. He's always been a fighter and a builder. And this experience, God could have not selected a better person than this fighter here, because he knew that the fight that he always had was gonna come forth. When your back is against the wall, you're going to either fight or flee. He was fighting, and we were all fighting in prayer because there's nothing else that we could have done physically for him. But the one thing that I remember, we were having a conversation last night after Bible study, and you said that something just hit me. Tell me about that something that just hit you.
What just hit me during that time of Bible study was that God just reminded me that, I always say this, and I say this to one of my best friends in the world. I said, God is not a wasteful God.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that God has ever done in my life that's been wasteful. Every experience has justified something, has vindicated something or whatever. God is not wasteful. Right. So what I was reminded of when I start talking about, God, I'm not eating, I've lost all this weight, people are worried, and this is serious, and I'm having procedures. The first time, since I've been going through this, God reminded me, you've gone through this before. When I was 17 in high school, I was playing football and I got hit in my leg and I broke a bone in my leg, in my right leg. So all the surgery I've had is on my right side, you all, go figure. So I broke a bone in my right leg in high school. That was my junior year, and I was never able to play football again because when the bone broke, it cut a vessel in my leg and I pretty much was bleeding and I was dying. Yeah. At that time, nobody knew. So in 2 weeks, I lost like maybe 20 something pounds. I was already skinny at that time. My cheekbones out, my eyes started becoming yellow and all this. And my family became worried, but I couldn't even stay awake. But here, and God reminded me of this, y'all, and I want to share this. God reminded me that I've taken you through a journey before. And you came out okay. Because that same God took me through a journey at that time that the doctors didn't even know what was going on. And the whole time, here go that fighter in me. Yeah. I never missed a day of school until my whole, 13 years of school since kindergarten, I only missed 2 days of school. I went to school sick, broke up, whatever. I missed 2 days of school because when they did that surgery, they had to run tube and drain all my blood out and clean up because I became septic and I was dying. Yeah. And it was close to Thanksgiving, and I remember telling my mama, I give her a hard time about it. I said, Mama, I could have made it to Thanksgiving. Realistically, I would have made it to Thanksgiving. I would have been in a casket somewhere. I know it now, and I joke with her about that. But the doctor did find out what was going on, and I had surgery. But the other night, God reminded me I've taken you through this journey before.
Yeah.
I took you through this journey before, and you have seen this before. But the problem is that I know you were young at that time, but you didn't rely on me. Now I'm putting you into a position that, again, 33-something years later, almost 33-something years later, that I'm reminding you, first of all, I'm the same God.
Same God.
I'm the same God that took you through it before. And the same God. But the second thing is, I'm teaching you something doing this.
Yeah.
I'm teaching you that I'm a good God, and I got you, and I can take care of you better than you can.
Right.
And I'm so thankful that He reminds me of that, because I really believe that a lesson in life that I must have forgotten about God, who He really was. Yes, God has been good to me. There have been some trials, but I get through them, I get back up. But this one, when it touched my body during the time it touched it, at a time, and remind everybody out here, I'm a provider for our house.
Yeah.
Not me, with God, but I'm the provider for our we're income household.
Right.
So a part of me, I had to keep going. And I thought about it. I don't know what it was like for you to watch me get up and struggle every morning. Sometimes can't even put my clothes on.
Right.
My boys had to help me sometimes put my socks on, and I just go out with a smile, or we ride to church and we smile and we do what we need to do. But God says, I'm the same God.
Same God.
This is for somebody out there. He's the same God. And the reason why I was connected to that journey, because I had to spiritually go back around that same track again, that path again.
Full circle.
But the thing about it, I'm using it now as a grown man, now to use it like, God, how can you use this? Like I told everybody, I'm not the same person from December to now. My faith is on a whole nother level right now, because when your body's weak and you're struggling and you can't get your mind together, but God is doing things inside of you, He's providing for you, and He's doing these things for you, we sometimes tend to forget.
Yeah.
We tend to forget.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, going to this last surgery, you asked me a question. You said, are you afraid?
Right.
I wasn't. I had more peace, because I knew that there was nothing those doctors could do for me but their procedures.
Yeah.
I knew the touch that I needed was from God.
Yeah.
I knew that I trust them, I love them, I love what they can do, but I truly believe that the touch that I truly needed was from God.
Yeah.
I needed to go into that room, and I needed the touch from God.
Yeah.
And think about it. Another procedure, but when I woke up this time, I woke up in so much peace, no pain, just getting up, moving on about my way, some discomfort, but nothing moving on about my way and stuff like this. And so I know that connecting it to that same journey, that God said, I really believe in my heart that God says, I have to show you this for you to truly, even though you've been a minister for how many years in doing this, and I'm not ashamed of that.
Right.
I had to show you this to truly show you who I really am in your life. To truly show you who I really am in your life.
It's one thing to say, I know God. No, I know about God, but to say that I know God, like that's what Job said, pretty much. I thought I knew God, but then when you have certain experiences that take you through this journey called life, it makes you really, really know God. Because in our times, this situation and many other situations in our marriage and in our lives, where I truly felt like all I could do as a spouse was to lean on God. I've always leaned on God in my life because God is the definite source of my life. I've always leaned on Him, but in this situation, it was just like, God, you are the provider, you are the healer, you are everything, and I surrender this situation. I surrender my husband, I surrender his health, our marriage, everything to you. And I want to get to the part when you said that God was trying to, you really knew God, like God was showing you who He really was. Yeah.
Well, I think for me, I'm gonna speak for myself. We can take God for granted.
Yeah.
We don't understand that His power. We don't understand His grace. We don't understand His mercy. I think sometimes we can float along when things are going good. Yes, I pray to God. Yes, I trust God and stuff like that. But I'm gonna say this too. I use this term, and I want y'all to understand this. It may seem like I'm contradicting myself. I'm not. Yeah, I trust God. I trust God. I believe God. I believe every word that comes out. But honestly, this brought me closer to really know God. That's a big difference. It brought me to really know God.
Yeah.
When you screaming out, God, I need you. And then you feel God's response. Like, you feel like, really feel God's response.
So you screamed out and you felt God.
Yes.
Yes.
You scream out, God, I cannot. I don't want to keep calling out. I don't want to do this. Give me strength to just stand and get through this sermon.
Right.
And you feel, I don't know, you feel God's hand holding you up in you, and you know it's not in your strength.
Right.
Tell me, how can I not serve a God like this? How can I doubt such a God? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I walk away smiling, and I didn't share all this with people, and it was a perfect time for it, because when I walk away, I'm like, wow. Mm-hmm. People say, that was a good word, Pastor, but I'm thinking to myself, you just don't know.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't me. I'm standing up here not on my own strength.
Right.
So God is showing me, like, that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to lean on me. You're going to have to depend on me. Yeah. And people don't realize this too. There were struggles. Mm-hmm. When you don't feel good, you just don't feel good.
Right.
I know I wasn't the probably sometimes the most pleasant husband towards you, or snappy towards the boys. It affects your whole demeanor. I may smile and put on that, but really I'm struggling, irritable.
When I say that we were struggling as a family, because we're going to be transparent and real, we were struggling not only in his health, but in our marriage. At some point, it was just like him being in an ill mood and snapping and being cold, and I'm being cold and I'm being distant because my feelings are hurt, because I'm the type of person, I'm not the one to be yelling in people's face and drama. I internalize things and I shut down. I see myself like a little turtle. When I get hurt or I feel danger, I go into my shell and I stay there. So I'm feeling, we're not close. We're fighting each day just to speak to each other, and we're being real. Yeah. Yes, we're pastors. Yes, we're in leadership. Yes, we know the Lord. But when real life hits you, it hits you. And it was a struggle for us. It really was. And I remember, when was it? On Monday, actually, Sunday night, after we had a big blow up and we, said what we had to say from each other's, you good? Mm-hmm. Okay. Say what we had to say from our hearts regarding of how we felt towards each other, how we saw things happening, whatever misunderstandings, That night, of course, I couldn't sleep. And there are times in my life where I know that it's God that's waking me up to pray, and it's usually 3 o'clock in the morning, around that time. I get really, really hot. I know it's not menopause, but I get really, really hot, and then also I lose all the sleep, and I have to get up. Mm-hmm. So I got up at 3 a.m., and I went into my sitting room. It's kind of like a sunroom, a sitting room area, and I just started having it out with God from 3 a.m. to 5:30 a.m. Just praying, screaming out to God, just saying from my heart. Because one thing that I'm not going to do is have a fake relationship with God. Right. I was completely transparent. Like, God, I have the Bible in my hand. I was like, God, either you're the God of this Bible, or, these are just fairy tale stories. Either you're a healer or you're not. I was just like, God, you got to do something. If you did it for all those people in the Bible, you can do it again. I put a demand on that prayer. I know it's just like, who am I to talk to God like that? But I was just like, God, enough is enough. Mm-hmm. Even to the point I said, God, if he can't eat, you won't allow him to eat, then I'm not going to eat. I'm not going to eat. I'm going to completely go through this process with him. Until you release him, I'm not going to eat, because I was so to the point like, God, I'm done. But during my prayer time, like I said, we were going a few weeks not really liking each other. We love each other, but not really liking each other. If you're married, you know what I mean. And during that prayer that morning, I heard God saying, it's like God showed me how I was being selfish and worrying about my emotions. Let me just finish this and I'll let you. Worrying about my emotions, and the fact that because I was angry and I pulled away, that I really didn't see the weight of everything he was going through, because I was so focused on being hurt and not feeling understood and feeling whatever. So in that process, I prayed and I repented, and I said, God, please forgive me. Because the last thing that I want to do is add on to all the things that he's dealing with. He has to worry about still paying the bills, still worry about church and preaching sermons and Bible study, and still worried about being a father. And now I'm adding on to his burden of, and worried about his health, because we didn't know at one point where's this story leading, where is this going, you know. So it was a trying time. And go ahead, I want you to.
I was gonna say, on top of that, what just happened, and when it came to a head, think about it. You know, you fed up with me, I'm kind of fed up with you. Mm-hmm. My transmission went out on my truck.
Right.
My back went out.
Oh, it was $600.
I'm still not eating. After they did the procedure, I'm still not eating. Mm-hmm. I'm still letting stuff come back up. Mm-hmm. And I can't eat. I can't stand the smell of food. So I'm saying this to everybody. It was a perfect storm. She's sick of me. I'm sick of her. Mm-hmm. The truck messed up on me. Everything. And you know, you talk about thousands of dollars for my almost new truck and all this stuff like this. It was coming to a head, mm-hmm. you know. Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest with you, we'll be transparent. I think that was the first time in our marriage, since we've been married 17 years, that we almost said we're done.
Right. We
almost threw in the towel. We almost threw in the towel. Not throwing the towel, not throwing the towel, but almost this just ain't gonna work.
Right.
That's different. I'm not like, I'm sick of you leave, but we just got to the point we almost said,
it's
just not gonna work. and that's what I really believe that God was showing, not only me, but us through all of this.
Right.
And this is for somebody else, for all of this. Mm-hmm. See, people didn't think we were going through trials because we held it together and we prayed, we still, but then it became so much.
Right.
And that's why we're sharing it to everybody. It became so much. Mm-hmm. Okay, he ain't eating for a while. He's still not eating.
Right.
You know, the kids don't want to eat in front of you. Kids are ashamed. You go to a restaurant, you run out because you're sick. Mm-hmm. And you know, this has happened. And I become snappy towards her. She's snappy towards me. It became cold in the household. And you know, then we have kids. Hey, go ask your mama this. You telling your kids, go ask your mama this.
Kids when you can just talk to each other.
So you know, people go through that, and we're not ashamed of that. But then I think for the first time in our marriage that we really probably said, like, you know, maybe this is not gonna work. Mm-hmm. But you know, once again, you all, it was like one of those real moments that I really thank God, because honestly, she said she was hurt. I was to the point that I was not hurt no more, which is even worse for me. Because I cut it off. I can cut it off. That's when I'm like to the point I'm done. I'm packing up. I'm taking count. I'm not hurt no more. Mm-hmm. That became scary to me because I became so resentful in this. I'm gonna use in this. I'm already sick. Mm-hmm. I'm carrying this load by myself. I got to figure it out by myself. You can't help me. Mm-hmm. You know, we're not even praying no more because you can't help me. All your prayers aren't working. My prayers aren't working. But you can't help me. Mm-hmm. Nothing can help me. So that added on to more resentment, you know, because you shut down, I don't feel loved, and mm-hmm. I snap at you, you don't feel loved. Mm-hmm. So that, I guess that was it. But then again, once again, you all, once again, God slapped us both.
Right.
Slapped us both and said, wait, hold on a second. And then I would say this, and I thank God for it. But then the conversation after that, you know, became so peaceful. Yeah. That, you know, then we start asking each other for forgiveness, like, you know, but I think, I don't know how you feel about it, but I really think for me, I had to check myself. I really realized that it was a lot of things that I'm doing to check myself, to forgive you. And you know, then I had to admit to you that I've been resentful towards you for these things. Right. You know, you can thank God for so much in your life. God, thank you for making me the provider. God, thank you for this. But then the enemy would say, you know, the enemy would take those same things that you have and turn them against you. Yeah. And that's for anybody out here. The same blessing that you thank God for, the enemy is the master of tricks. He'll play tricks on your mind and use that against you. Because you're such a great provider for your family. Thank you, Lord. But then the enemy get in your ear. Look at you. You're doing this by yourself. Right. This is why you're getting sick. This is why you're having an ulcer in your stomach. Right. This is why you're doing this. Then the enemy start playing with your mind. Oh, you're a great homemaker. Be there for your husband. Mm-hmm. And then he'll put you in a situation that you're lonely. Mm-hmm. Not that your husband's out here providing. He's tired. He mess with you and say you're lonely and he's not loving you like he should, instead of like he's just tired of carrying the burden of himself. Right. And I wanted to say this. I just thank God for, I'm gonna use this term. I thank God for slapping reality. Yeah. Really. Like, come on, Clay. Come on, Wilma. Y'all need to get it together. Get it together. Yeah, get it together. And I'll be honest with y'all. It turned everything around me. And that's when I really realized, I'm gonna say for me, God started sewing the pieces of this journey together for me. You got to trust me.
Right.
Now you can't just trust me with your health, your very being. You got to trust me with your marriage too.
Yes.
You got to trust me with your marriage too. You got to trust me with your children. You got to trust me as you being a father. You got to trust me as you going on this journey of being a pastor, being a better brother to your brother, brother, sister, brother to your sister, being a better son.
Right.
You're gonna have to trust me with everything.
Submission.
Everything.
Full submission.
You can't trust me with the things that you don't have control of. You can't trust me with the load that's too heavy. You got to trust me with the load that's light, because who you think is carrying it for you.
Right.
That's what's really the journey I'm going through. I can, you throw the heavy load on me, but what about the load that I'm already carrying for you?
That's good.
You got to trust me with that load too.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. And that's what I mean, knowing God.
Knowing
God.
Yeah.
You can't trust me when things are good.
Yeah.
You can't trust me only when things are good. Right. You can't just scream out to me when things are bad. What about the praise when things are good? And to me, y'all, the lesson I'm learning is God saying, I need your total attention.
Total.
I need your total focus.
Jealous.
You can be ADD and all over the place. You're just naturally like a hyper person. But when it comes to me, I just need your total focus. I need your total focus. I need your mind, your body, your soul to be focused on me.
Right.
And I know that, and I really believe that. Now God says, now do I have your attention?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now do I have your attention?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, Lord, you have my attention. He said, now, because like in the Bible study, I had to put you in a position that your posture would change. I had to put you down to nothing screaming on your face, that your whole posture would change, your whole reverence of me, your whole understanding of me, it would change.
Yeah.
God had to bring me down to the point like, okay, God, on top of all of this, the woman I love so much, now she, we're not working out. Wow. And he said to me, now I got your total attention.
Right.
I have your total attention. And I'll be honest with you, it was to me, once that revelation came to me, it was like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders.
Yeah.
Like I'm still healing, I'm still uncomfortable right now sitting here.
Right.
My body's not there yet. But I can tell you my mind and soul have. And then we could tell the testimony. You said, God, if you're not going to eat, if he's not going to eat, you're not going to eat.
Right.
But that very next morning,
oh yes,
I got up and I had so much nausea that Tuesday morning.
Actually, it was that day.
It was Tuesday. That Tuesday morning.
Didn't you eat on Monday?
I did.
Okay.
That Tuesday morning when I woke up, I was so nauseous. And I was on my way to work early, like I got a long day, I'm not gonna have time to eat, I'm just gonna rush it. Something in my spirit says, stop and get something to eat. I'm gonna fight this. And I was like, no, the enemy, you ain't gonna win today.
Right.
You're not winning today.
That
so I stopped
spirit.
and said, I'm gonna eat. I don't care what it costs. I'm gonna get something in me because I'm weak. I'm wearing out, I'm shaking. And it got to the point that my body was so weak that I started having shakes.
Yeah, shakes
I
in
started
the bed.
having trembles,
Yeah,
like my body was weak. I said, I gotta fight this back. And my middle son, Joshua, looked at me, and this what really broke me. It scared me. He said, Daddy, this was Sunday or Monday, whenever it was. He said, Daddy, I'm not trying to be funny. He said, but look at how skinny you are now.
Wow.
And I looked at it and I was like, you noticed? He said, Daddy, that's not good. And Joshua said to me, he said, Daddy, you got to realize this. This is after we've been in the truck and the truck and he said, this is a spiritual attack on you.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that bothered me. So that Tuesday morning after we talked and we worked this thing out and we came to some conclusion, I said, I'm going to fight this.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm going to get something to eat. I don't care what it is, I'm going to try it. And here's the thing about it. The very things that I could not stand was the smell of eggs.
And you loved eggs before,
eggs were my favorite.
any of the
bacon,
procedure.
oh man,
Oh my God.
I hate eggs. I hated them.
Right.
I said, I'm going to get something. I said, I'm going to get eggs. I don't know what provoked me to do this. But when I started eating, it started going down for the first time.
Yeah.
And the whole time, my brain, I was closing my eyes. It's like, I'm going to get it down. I'm going to get it down. Then I started eating like, oh, wait. It's actually going all the way down. So the procedure did work that food would go down.
Yeah.
But I was like, hold on. It's not coming back up.
Right.
So I called you and said, I ate something.
You took a picture of the sandwich.
I took a picture of the sandwich
and
said it like, it's going down. And then you told me you had been praying for me.
Right.
And I was like, somebody is.
Yeah.
Because I was giving out.
Yeah.
I was giving out.
But in that moment, it really restored my faith in God.
Wow.
Because it took it to another level because I was just like, I'm saying these bold prayers and demands, but part of me Are you good?
Yeah.
Okay. Part of me is saying, girl, who are you for God to listen to? You've prayed before and things didn't turn out the way. You prayed for somebody to live and they still died, and all these different things. So I was like fighting doubt, but I was still saying, no. This God that I serve, my faith is not fake. It's real. It has to happen. So I was just like, I was doubting, but I was trying to have faith. And then when I saw that picture, it restored my faith in God, because I was like, God, you did hear me. You do answer. And I was just like, I guess God was like, daughter, go ahead and eat. You're fine. He's going to be fine. So that really was a turn for me, showing and reminding me that God is a God that answers. That God, when you have, like they said, when you come to the end of your rope, you come to the beginning of God. And that's pretty much that experience that I felt like, God, I surrender all of this. And also in that moment, I took authority over the power that God had given us, saying that we can speak these things. And I said, God, no, the God that I serve. And I reminded God of his record, not only in the Bible, but personally. I was like, wait a minute now, this picture ain't added up to the God that I serve. And one thing that I want to share with you all is that people always try to explain faith. Faith is not something that you can explain.
That's
it's
right.
something that you have to experience. And that's what we're talking about, is experiencing that faith that will take your relationship from a knowledge base to a heart base, to understand that God is real, that God does provide, that God does answer. Because if you have faith in God, then you have to have faith in God's timing as well. Sometimes we get in different crisis situations and it seems like it's over. It seems like, oh, this situation is dead. But I believe that there are times that God will allow certain things to die in order for new things to grow. And I felt like certain parts of our relationship had to go through that, to die of certain bad habits, certain things, to develop certain fruits of the Spirit that God's been developing, trying to develop in us individually. Because one thing about God is that we can go to God and complain to him about our spouse, but God will always turn it around and say, but what about you? What about that area that I'm trying to work with you on? And that's what God did for me. And I'm so glad that I got that lesson, to understand that we're not fighting with each other. Not fighting against each other. We should be fighting with each other and trying to lessen the plate for each other. But Clay, you mentioned early on that you're not the same Clay that you were before this whole ordeal started in December. What is this new Clay? What's the newness that's happened?
Well, I think like I said before, I lost a lot of weight of doubt. Lost a lot of weight of insecurity. Lost a lot of weight of doubt. I'm questioning myself and not trusting who God has called me to be. I think along with the journey of losing the physical weight and stuff like that, the mental weight. But then, so when you lose all that, my trust in God has grown.
Okay.
You cannot tell me about my God. You can't.
You're
you
confident
just can't.
in God.
Not that it wasn't there before, but it's almost like it's substantiated right now. It's a stamp on it. You can't tell me about my God. So therefore, and I keep saying, go in the strength you have. God has given me everything to go forth and call me to do the things that are even greater, to share with others, to share his likeness with others, share his kindness with others. And I'm going on with that. I'm not the same person. My smile is different now. The first time I actually truly smiled, and I've always been a person who laughed and smiled a lot and cut up a lot. But I told you this yesterday. The first time I've truly smiled since December was yesterday.
Yeah.
The first time I really had the energy and felt my whole body and everything smile was yesterday.
Yeah.
I was around people, but I was smiling because I just had because of that. But yesterday was the first time I smiled. But it wasn't because even I felt better. It's because it finally all connected. It was pure. It was from my spirit that I smiled, like, because God, you have been good to me.
Yes.
And see, here's what the thing about it. It's not because my condition is like I'm totally out of it yet.
Right. You're
But
still in the middle.
I really am. Even in the midst of the storm I'm in right now, I can smile because my faith is there.
Yeah.
And that faith can move mountains like he's already done.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
we think about it. I was eating today, and then we tried to eat a little bit today. I didn't feel so well after that. So it's still there.
We're going to have our ups and downs.
Ups and downs, but it ain't changing this because I'm still laughing about it, and I'm still thankful for it. That's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that my faith ain't based on my condition.
Oh, that's good.
My faith is not based on my condition. My faith is not based on my position. My faith is not based on my finances. My faith is not based on my health. My faith is not based on our relationship. My faith is not based on how many home runs I can hit, how many basketballs I can dunk. It's not based upon that.
Right.
My faith is on God because God is who he is.
Right.
And that's it. That's the difference right now.
That's
Just because he's God.
Just because he's God. Ooh, we can end on that note right there. Just because he's God. And that's what the scripture said, that God, I'm coming to you to seek your face, not your hand. Meaning that I'm not coming to you to get anything from you. I just want to be in your presence.
Yes.
I just want to be near you. Well, like, was it Moses that said, where can we go if your presence is not there? And that's pretty much what our life journey is that God, we are fully submitted to you. And whatever work we need to do individually to be who you want us to be, we are willing to do that. And we had to go through this process. We had to go through this process. And like we said, he's not completely like 100% ready to go run a marathon. It's still a journey. He's still trying to get his eating together, his walking together, his different things. But, you know, it's something that we know that we're on the road of recovery, and we're so excited. So thank you all so much for tuning in to hear this remarkable story once again, that faith is not something that you explain, it's something that you experience. So for those that haven't submitted their lives to Christ, I invite you to do that, because we know that the strength that we're actually walking in, the strength that he's walking in on a daily basis, is not based on his strength. If we were not connected to the source, we would not be able to withstand these blows. And part of us at one point was feeling like, well, is somebody speaking this over us? But one thing that I know, that whoever is speaking it over us, that God is the one that's going to vindicate. God is the one that's actually going to be able to bring revelation. So, you know, we just got to do our part by focusing on God. And that's what we've been doing, is keeping our eyes laser focused on God, to understand that if he didn't give whatever permission to do whatever it is, it wouldn't happen. And even if it is somebody who's speaking it on us in our household, we know that in the end, that God always turn it around for our good. They said that the weapons may form, but they won't prosper. That means that, yeah, we may get hit here and there, but it's not going to be any fatal blows. So we haven't experienced any fatal blows. We're going to continue to trust God. That's what life journey is about, trusting God. And also, I want to announce that this dude right here, he is my partner in life, and on Kingdom Huddle as well. He's going to be here as a regular. And sometimes he's going to be recording without me being in the picture. But we're excited about this new journey. Stay tuned as you watch what God has done and will continue to do in his life. This faith walk is not over. But thank you all so much for tuning in, and God bless.
God bless you.
Just like a book, there are many chapters in our lives. And if we read a chapter and come to a conclusion about our lives, then we would have misunderstood our life. When Clay and I were in our valley, it was our faith in God that kept us together. When we were ready to flee, the Holy Spirit gave us strength to fight. And we know that the best is yet to come. Thank you, Jesus.